So the market right now is a little crazy, right? The interest rates have gone up from 3% in 2021 to high fives, low sixes in 2022. And a lot of you guys that have been watching us have said, like, wait a minute, maybe I won't move to Orlando. Maybe I'm gonna hang on a little bit and just kind of see what happens. And so today we're gonna talk a little bit about that straight on in terms of just what the opportunity is, what the opportunity might be in the future, and hopefully answer some of your questions on, is it still an affordable place to live if that's what you're looking for? Stay tuned. Yeah, no, it's just more of an office building upstairs. So you got like retail on the bottom. They've got, I think, Maggiano's, or no, it's not Maggiano's. There's like an Italian place on the main level. They've got really good pizza and salad. Hangry Bison up front. You've got a sweets place in the back. Foxtail and Kelly's Ice Cream on the other side. So it's a really cool little spot. And then across the street, eventually there'll be a hotel with like boutique, like high-end bar, restaurant kind of stuff. And then really cool stuff upstairs. So I'm excited. This is a new space, so I'm so excited. We've got maybe about 2,000 square feet here, and it's gonna be really cool. They've got like kind of an open lounge area for the agents. So we're gonna have a new YouTube studio, editing suites, offices for the office staff, and so cool view overlooking the park and just lets a ton of natural light in. So this is gonna be the spot where we're hopefully double kind of the size of our team and help a lot more of you guys relocate. So let's get into that. Talk a little bit about the people that are relocating, or maybe you live here and you're just kind of curious what's going on with the market. So we're going to talk about numbers. I think I need a coffee, so let's actually pop downstairs.
Going down.
All right, so there's 6 things that I want to talk to you about today about our real estate market, the affordability, and what I would do if I were you. So first up is that interest rates, like we talked about, have now gone from roughly 3.5% up to 6%, which might be shocking to so many people. But if you look over the past 15 years, the average interest rate was right at the high fives and low sixes. And so it's just crazy compared to what it was last year. And now obviously the difference of that and today is that average prices now in Orlando are roughly $400,000. We're up 35% over the past 2.5 years. So affordability on a $400,000 house today costs you $800 more than it did about a year and a half ago. And so for many people, they got priced out. So there's a couple things I want you to think about as you're making the decision of, do you move to Orlando? Do you sell your house in Orlando and move somewhere else? And some of the fundamental things you should be thinking through to make that decision. If you're thinking about going new construction, there's so many options that are starting to become available for you. Builders for the longest time weren't doing anything. They weren't doing incentives. Sometimes it was worse than resale because you're still having to pay over asking, and then you had an unlimited kind of open timeline on when that was actually going to finish. Now builders are starting to lean in and say, hey, listen, demand has slowed down just a little bit. And so we want to look at, are we going to offer incentives to get people to come back in the door? And so if you're thinking about building new construction, or you're looking for maybe a longer close, one of the brilliant things is you can lock in, get a little bit of a better deal. And many of these builders are locking in interest rates. So if you're kind of uncertain about what's going on, will interest rates continue to go up and that sort of thing, many of these builders are helping you lock in your interest rate today so you have a little bit more uncertainty for the future. One of the other things that I love about the market that we're currently in is that you're not having to go crazy over asking. You're not having to go $15,000, $20,000, $100,000 over asking just to get a house. And so when you think about from an affordability standpoint, you're keeping more money in your pocket because you're not going against as many cash buyers and having to like liquidate everything that you own just to get a house. And so that to me is a win if you're in today's market. One of the last things to think about if you're thinking about building or buying a house right now is that if you're looking at a long enough horizon, 5, 6, 7 years, it doesn't really matter if the market goes up and down and then back up again because you're locked into what it is today. I've been talking to a lot of buyers who are just like, it seems so uncertain. What's going on with rental prices, what's going on with housing prices, which are still climbing, by the way, and interest rates kind of all over the place. If you lock in today and you're able to get a house that you love and your horizon's a little bit longer, that 5, 6, 7 years plus, then get some certainty in your life. And that's the way I look at it. If you're thinking about buying a house and then flipping it in a year, if you move all the time, like you buy and sell, just like, you're one of those people that call me up and said, Ken, this is the 15th time that I'm gonna buy a house. Maybe you should rent. Maybe you should take the risk of like, hey, what's going on with the market? But if you're looking at a long enough horizon, if you wanna call Orlando home, then I would settle down and make Orlando home. Worst case scenario is that we can rent the house out for you if it's something that you're not ready to sell when the time comes. A question that I get asked all the time is, when does the real estate bubble finally crash? Having lived through the 2008, 2009 bubble, one of the things that we know that's fundamentally different today than when it happened then was that there's more people with more equity today than ever before. I remember seeing people have 110% mortgages that were closing on houses. Essentially, you would literally close on a house negative equity, which is insane. You also had 1-year ARMs, 2-year ARMs, where people were paying 1-2% on their mortgage, and then it ballooned up to 7-8-9% after that year. And then all of a sudden, those people can't afford it. We also had a job crisis, which right now we've had the lowest unemployment that we've really seen in decades. So if you're wondering if we're gonna have this bubble crash, I just don't see it happening unless we have massive layoffs, unless we have, I guess, people starting to do interest-only ARMs that are like a year or two. Those are some things that could put us into a really bad position in the future. But as of right now, in 2022 and 2023, I think the market will continue to rise 3 to 5% between here and the end of the year. And so for some of you like data nerds, or even if you're not, I'll try to just compress this a little bit. This screen right here, and I'll make sure he puts it up here, is essentially every band over the past week for the 4 or 5 county areas that we service. If you look at homes between 250 and $1 million, on average, homes are still selling at 100% to like 101%. Once you get over $1 million, it retreats back to 97%. And so what does that all mean? Well, it just means that the market is still really strong, that it's still in a seller's market. It's just not as crazy as it used to be. And I think that that's actually a very healthy thing. When people ask me, it's so funny. People are like, oh, you must love this real estate market. I'm like, no, I hated the market that we were in 6 months ago. 20, 30 offers, $100,000 over asking. It's not sustainable and not something fun for us when we're having to write 6, 7, 8 offers for our clients to get one accepted. And so this is actually a really exciting time for us. I mean, while homes are taking a little bit longer to sell, buyers have plenty of options. I think that that's really cool. All right, so as we wrap up this video, if you are uncertain in where you're at in life in terms of moving, not moving, you're just looking for a resource, that's what we're here for. We're not here to sell you a house. We want to be your real estate agent for life. And so feel free to reach out. We'll walk you through the numbers and figure out a plan that's best for you, depending on what your financial situation looks like, depending on what your motivation looks like, all that kind of stuff. So reach out at info@pozekgroup.com, and my team and I will help get the process started. We'll go from there. We'll see you guys on the next video.